you see the stories of the kids who have birthday parties and nobody shows up. As a Miracle League player, that doesn't happen because you have teammates.
Yeah.
And that's important. Not only on the field, but that's important off the field, which is much more important in the grand scheme of things than anything that we do. And that's why we love what we do.
You're listening to the Water Prairie Chronicles, a podcast that supports parents of children with disabilities by sharing the stories of individuals who have grown up with disabilities and the organizations available to help parents along the way. Stay connected with us by clicking the subscribe button and leave us a comment if you want to join in on the conversation. Today we're going to be talking about a sports program that my family was a part of for many years. My daughter Emily was a player on a baseball team from the 3rd through 12th grade. My husband, Steve, was a buddy for her team first and then became a coach until she graduated. My son, Christopher, became a buddy for Emily when he was pretty young. And then again, he also volunteered with his high school baseball team for a couple of years before he graduated. And both Emily and Christopher had their first actual jobs as part of the field staff here. And the program that I'm talking about is the Miracle League of the Triangle. And today our guest is Mr. Benji Capps. He's the executive director of the Miracle League of the Triangle. So Benji, welcome to the Water Prairie Chronicles.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you reaching out to us on this.
So we always start out with this question. Tell us just a little about who you are.
I'm a guy who was a very rarity. I'm born and raised in the Triangle area of North Carolina. Always played sports my whole life and all the way up into college. So sports have always been a part of me. When we were finding out we were having our first son, we were very excited. And then when he was born, he had issues. He ended up having cerebral palsy. We learned very early on for him. So we always, at that point on, were looking for ways to get involved and to help kids like Micah. So we had worked a lot with Easter Seals and UCP during those years, and I was in the restaurant business at that time. And then in 2014, the Miracle League Triangle needed an executive director position came available, and so it had always interested me. I'd done a lot with the other nonprofits. My father had been in a nonprofit for his whole career, and it still is. So getting into that field really kind of interested me to do it. And this was a perfect fit with being what the Miracle League of the Triangle is. And so when this position came available, I was lucky enough to get it back in 2014 and have been here ever since. We've seen a lot of growth with the Miracle League, but it's truly a blessing, for me to be able to do it and to be a part of what this organization is, not just for Micah, but for our whole family. Watching my sons being able to spend more time with them versus in a restaurant business, being able to do this and to see the growth and to seeing the growth of all the players, Emily included, from that young age all the way up into high school and even adulthood. It really matters and it means a lot to me. And that's what kind of drives me every day is seeing those kids and those players make those strides.
Well, I know personally, Emily's confidence that she has today, I think I can go back and point to the Miracle League having a big part in that. Just having the opportunity for her to sing the national anthem in front of people and, to express her talents and her interest in different ways. It gave her a really great acceptance area.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, Micah, when we started back in 2007, Micah started and he was 5. And so as you've been around the little kids enough that we have kids who are runners. And what that means is that kid gets on the field and they just run everywhere that they go. And so Micah was a runner. And so Micah got on the field, closed the gate, and he was gone. And we always warned the buddy, hey, I hope you got your running shoes on today because Micah's a runner. So as Micah grew older and older, that was always kind of, the running lessened a little bit. But I played soccer, football, basketball, and baseball from the time I was in 8th grade till the time I went to college.
Wow.
So sports was always a part of my life. The one thing I did not like to do was run. So Micah gets to high school and we're coming up to the spring season and he comes up to me one day and goes, I think I want to run track.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, okay, well, let's go talk to the coach. You may have to be a manager this year. I don't know where the process is, but you may have to be a manager this year, but you'll be on the team and you'll learn from there and we'll figure it out. And so Micah goes out. We set up a time to meet with the coach. Him and the coach hit it off right away. And Micah was a 4-year letterman in track and a 3-year letterman in cross country because of that. Wow. Coach coached both things. And so he always took the time to invest in Micah to push Micah to points that we didn't think Micah could be. And was always just a driving force in Micah's high school career. But I look back and go, well, Micah was always a runner, and that really kind of served him well going into high school, and it gave him that confidence that you just talked about with Emily, right, to go be able to want to do something that's new and different and something that hadn't been done. There's lots of stories in the Miracle League about that, and that's really what makes us happy to be a part of these lives.
Now, you and I know from personal experience what the Miracle League is, but what exactly is the Miracle League of the Triangle?
Very simply, the Miracle League of the Triangle is a baseball league. But what sets it apart is all of our players have IEPs, 504 plans in schools. We have players anywhere from 5 years old up to 65 years old throughout our various leagues. We say a baseball game, it's a 2 inning baseball game. Every kid gets their own uniform, a hat at the beginning of the season. They're on teams. We have teams anywhere from 12 to 15 players. And our league is big enough, we're able to align players by their grade in school. So they're playing, third graders are playing against third graders and not playing against high schoolers. But they go out and they play a 2 inning game. So we give them all the little extras that the major league players get. Every player gets to pick their own nickname. And you have anywhere from princesses to big hitters to the Big Lebowskis to Micah is the cool or Brotato this year. So it runs a range of where the nicknames are. And then they also get to pick up their own walk-up music. A lot of times it's the popular song of the year, whether it's happy, whether it's the Frozen songs, or it's something that you can tell their parents picked it or they picked it as they age up.
Right.
But so that's to start the game. We do starting lineups for every player. We do a national anthem. A lot of times, like you said, our players are singing the national anthem before the game. And then once the game starts, every kid gets a hit. Every kid gets to run the bases in their way that they're able to. Every kid gets to score. And every kid then goes and plays the field. And we do that for 2 innings. In between the first and second inning, because we have a shortened game, we have the second inning stretch where we allow everybody to celebrate Harry Carey and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," depending on what day it is, how much involvement our fans have. And then we do it again the second inning, and it's an amazing thing that always happens no matter how many players are playing. The game always ends in a tie. And at that point, we say what really means the most about the Miracle League. And the winner is, and everybody yells, everybody.
Everybody, I know.
And so while, we're a baseball league, we provide so much more. So during that game, we have buddies who are one-on-one with the players on the field. That's a volunteerism. We have volunteers who are announcing, volunteers who are running the scoreboard and the DJ, and we have all volunteer coaches. So volunteerism is a big part of our community. So again, baseball starts with what happens on the field, but we bring players, people from the able-bodied community in to be a part of it. And then what happens in the stands for our families, because the advocacy that happens there is just as important to what happens on the field for parents. Because if your son is having a bad day or your daughter's having a bad day, you come to the field, they might be, but they know that you're going through it and you're going to get through it, and we're there for you. And that is as important as any other aspect of our community. So while, again, it's a baseball league, there's so many different layers that we have onto us that really drives the miracle part of the Miracle League.
One of the biggest things that stood out for me when we first joined was seeing the parents who were stressed out coming in because they were worried about how their child was going to be received, and then seeing them leave at the end knowing that the entire community that was there was embracing their child, embracing them, and they could actually breathe for a moment and just relax. They didn't have to worry about anyone being judgmental or not understanding if their child looked or acted differently, because every kid is unique and individual, and it really doesn't matter. That's part of what the game is. And so that for the years that the rest of the family was out in the field doing things, my role was sitting in the stands and being another mom next to the other moms. And the conversations that were there, half the time we weren't always watching the kids play. we were plugging into each other's background stories and trying to encourage each other. And I think that's just as big of a part of what the program is supporting those families that come in looking for help and support.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of our players and our families, the kids are doing something that they never thought they would have a chance to do.
Absolutely.
To be a part of a team, to be a part of something on a field, and be a part of having fans watch and cheer. And so that goes a long way into that uniqueness of it, and that just sitting back and going,
Oh, and you have kids through the years, kids that have played on Emily's team. You have cartwheels happening over home plate as they come in to score. You have wheelchairs that are doing wheelies around home plate. High fives from younger siblings sitting at the fence, waiting for their brother or sister to come by and give them a high five after they come across. It's a lot of fun. And anyone that we've ever taken from our church or friends just to watch a game, they've never left without just being an uplifting feeling for them and wanting to come and volunteer. So it's one, if you're listening to this and you've never heard of the Miracle League, you need to go check it out.
We say a lot, if you're having a bad day, go to a Miracle League game, because
absolutely.
your mood will change. We talk about volunteers, and we get a lot of baseball teams like you talked about with your son that comes in, and we've had many coaches say, hey, we've been in a rut. We came to the Miracle League and it really changed our perspective on how things go, that we realize we're very privileged to be able to play a game. So stop stressing about it and getting all uptight about it, and just go play the game.
Right.
Because just like those kids did, go just like the Miracle League players did, go play the game with joy and enjoy it instead of stressing and worrying about it. But that perspective is, really brings that volunteer community into us to really get something out of it.
Right. So, just for our listeners, we're talking about the Miracle League of the Triangle specifically, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into how their program is running. But those of you that are listening across the country, there are Miracle League programs all across the country. And we have a few listed on our resources page, but we're actually going to ask you to go to the national site and contact them. And I'm putting that link in the show notes for this so that you can see where to go. And the reason we're doing that is because the list is going to be ever changing, and that way you'll get the most up-to-date information. They're very quick to respond, so if you send them an email or give them a call, you'll be able to get an answer pretty quickly on that. But for the rest of this, let's talk more specifically about the Miracle League of the Triangle. So you said that they started in 2007?
So we started our league in 05, 06 is when we were formed as a nonprofit.
Okay.
We played that first spring season of 06 in the parking lot of Adams Elementary School while the field was being construction. Not many people remember that, but we opened our first field, the Highway 55 Foundation Field in Cary, in September of 2006.
Okay.
So that's when we started. We had about 108 players, 25, 30 coaches on 8 teams. So it was really a unique experience to be out there and to get it started. We just celebrated last year 15 years of being a part of being an organization, and we still had 30-ish players and 5 coaches that have been around every season of those 15 years. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we stepped in 08, so you'd been around a little bit. So I thought it had been longer than that.
So Micah started in the spring season in 07, so we missed one season, but we've been around since that point.
Wow. All right, so we touched on this a little bit, but who can play and what ages are those?
We base our eligibility on an IEP, so we start at kindergarten, school age. We were originally started as a school age league, so we really covered from kindergarten to high school. Back in 2014-15, all those kids who had started are now in high school and are adults. And so, being in Wake County and North Carolina schools, you can be in high school until you're 21. So that we noticed we were very stagnant in growth at that point. So at that time we decided to start an adult league. We started an adult league in 2015. We started about 48 players on 4 teams. And it really kind of not only allowed them to grow and to be something unique on a Tuesday night, but it allowed our high schoolers who were not being able to play on the Friday night high school league move up into play. Our adult league has quickly grown to where we have 10 teams in our adult league now.
Wow.
Our league has grown in that regard, but our high school age kids are now all able to play on Friday nights and be able to do it. So right now we have players, I think a youngest as a 5-year-old and up to 63 years old right now playing in the league.
We've said Cary a couple times, so you have more than just one field. So where are the games played?
So we have the field in Cary, which we opened in 2006. In 2014, we knew we needed a second field. Well, in about 2012, we needed a second field to continue to grow. We had maxed out the capacity at the Cary field. So we opened the field in North Raleigh up towards Wake Forest, the Fred Smith Company's field in March of 2014 to kind of alleviate that. And there we started about 90 players. And that one has continued to grow over the years. We've added an adult league up there. So that's our 2 current fields that we have. We have a third field that's under construction in downtown Durham, partnership with the Durham Bulls. It's called the Durham Bulls Miracle League Field, but it is really right across the street from Durham, where the Durham Bulls play. It is scheduled to open up this year, fall of this year. So those are our 3 current fields. Could be more in the future, I don't know, but our goal is to serve as many players in the Triangle as we possibly can. When you look at the way the area has grown, even from 2006, how many new people are in Wake County and the surrounding areas every year. There's a lot more people who are coming in that are going to need our services and need us. And so we continue to try to reach out and to do that and continue to have a ability to serve all these players who want to play. And that's why we look to open new fields and new facilities to be able to do it. Even if it's a parking lot where we can get some teams together to play, we want to have as many players as possible playing at all times.
So you've talked about the parking lot, but the Miracle League fields are specially made. What makes it accessible to everyone?
The biggest thing is there's no barriers. Our current two fields that we have are a rubberized surface called Mondo. If you've ever ran on one of the squishy tracks, that's the material that Mondo is, that rubberized surface. So there's no barriers or bumps or anything that are going to slow down wheelchairs or walkers. It gives a little when you fall. There's no bad bounces, but it really just kind of holds up to allow every kid to be able to have access to that field, which is very important to us. Our field that we're building in Durham is a little different. It's a turf. It's a very tight knit turf that's going to provide a little more of a realistic baseball look, but have the same availability that there's no edges, there's no ridges or anything. The smoothness for wheelchairs and walkers will be able to have access to it. So it's a little different. Hopefully it'll be a little cooler and drain a little better, but we'll see about that. But that's really the kind of type of surface. The most important thing is we want to give everybody access to that with no barriers. There's no grass allergies. There's no daisies to pick in the middle of a baseball game. They're just out there to have a good time on that field.
And you described a typical game already for us, but do the teams practice?
So no, we don't do any practice. Now, occasionally we'll do some clinics either before the season, during the season, or during the summer. We have various teams that play different capacities, and we have an advanced players academy. They have a couple of practices before they start their games, but our regular league does not practice at all. They have an 8-week season, and that's really all that is. It's usually whatever day they play, they come at that time and play their game.
And that's twice a year, correct?
Correct. We play a spring season and a fall season. Our spring season typically runs the 8 weeks before Memorial Day, with the Easter break in there at some point. And then our fall season runs the week after Labor Day through about Halloween is typically when it wraps up. Weather is a big factor in all this, but also the access to volunteers, access to get people out there. When you have over 500 players, you have lots of volunteer needs. So you really got to allow that schools to get in session, to get the volunteer groups, as well as getting stuff ended before all your college kids and so forth move on post Memorial Day.
So you said there's over 500 players involved in the program now?
Yeah, currently we have right at 500 players that we have on our Cary field, our Raleigh field, and then our Advanced Players Academy that we have. Our goal as an organization is to serve 1,000 players a season. What that looks like, with the third field, having the capacity to be able to do that. Each team has 12 to 15 players. So I think we have 36 teams this spring season. We've seen a great rebound since COVID. Obviously in 2020, we didn't play. In the spring of 2021, we had a very modified season where there's only one team on the field at a time. And I think we had like 280 players. And then in the fall, we opened it up a little bit more, and we expected about 350, but we ended up having 400 players for that fall season. And then this year we've seen another big drastic growth, up to about 480 in our regular leagues and 24 in our Advanced Players Academy. So over 500 players playing right now.
Wow. So with that many, how do you handle the buddy system? I mean, maybe describe the buddy system a little bit first, and then tell us how you go about getting that covered.
Our on-the-field volunteers come in three capacities. Support volunteers, which are the umpires who are out there, the designated pitchers if we have them, and then we have the coaches. Now, the coach volunteer commitment is an 8-week commitment. But again, there's no practices. You come 15 minutes before your game, you have your game, and then, a few minutes afterwards, and you're able to get out of there. But each team usually has 3 to 4 coaches, sometimes 5 coaches on it. And then we have a buddy for every player that's on the field. The way we run our volunteer shifts is every shift is 2 games long. So if on Saturday we have 8 games, we have 4 volunteer shifts for that Saturday. We have 1 on Friday nights. We have 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Thursday night. So we allow the buddies to really kind of pick and choose. You can come for that one shift, or you can come for a shift a week. You can come for a Tuesday night. You can come for a Saturday. But also we use a lot of volunteer groups to kind of fill that. We were very fortunate in this area to have the amount of volunteers that play in sports teams, whether they're the college baseball, softball. Like we even had football teams out this year.
Oh, wow.
High school teams, all across the board, whether they're football, baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball, all come out and be it. And then all the individual travel teams that come out of it, and then you have your civic groups, your church groups who are looking for volunteer opportunities. And while I'm naming lots of groups, we still struggle to fill all these volunteer shifts. In 2019, we had over 4,000 volunteer opportunities and used over 14,000 volunteer hours. So it's a big part of our organization. So it takes a lot of commitment and time to kind of round up all the volunteers that we do. Without them, we couldn't do what we do to the level that we do it.
Do the volunteers need any type of special training?
Our only requirement is 12 years and up. just for safety, to be able to, one of your jobs on the field is to protect the player. So being 12, we feel you're able to do that. We provide volunteer training for our buddies before they go on the field for the first time. After that, they don't have to do the buddy training anymore. It takes about 15 minutes before your shift. We encourage people to watch the video before they come, but if they don't, we still cover that at the field and really kind of cover the scenarios that they'll see most likely on the field at all times. Now, we always tell them we're a league of exceptions. Things could happen. Get a staff member, get a mom, get a coach, get somebody who's a little more familiar if you get into that. But it's really about going out, sharing the field with them, interacting with them, making them feel like they're the star of the field and having a great time. Most importantly, have fun. It's a baseball league. We want you out there having fun. And you can really see the apprehensive ones once they get on the field. It's like, oh, this is kind of fun. And they really kind of get into it. And by the end of it, man, these players taught me so much more than I could ever teach them. They've done so much more for me than we get that so many times. It really kind of, I'm going to be back next week. I'm going to come on. If I come on a group, I'm going to come on my own, another time. So we just love coming out here to be a part of it. One of our better pictures that we have is when NC State baseball came out. I think it was in 2017, 2018, but you have these big 6'3", 6'4" guys with our little kindergartners in the outfield playing duck, duck, goose and absolutely getting destroyed and cut duck, duck, goose because they couldn't get up fast enough to catch the kids. They had too high. So the little kids were moving around so fast. It was pretty funny to see out there.
I know when we were talking about the outfield, there's different games going on in the outfield at the same time as the baseball game. So you've got games of catch going on. You've got kids that are actually trying to field the balls that are coming to them. Right. And then you have the games of chase with Micah. So it's fun. There's always something to watch going on, and it's fun over a season to see the improvement of the kids' skills, being able to catch the ball that they may not have been able to catch it.
I had a son that was he's about 3.5 years younger than Micah. So watching him kind of go through T-ball and coach pitch and the kids pitch was very similar to what the Miracle League goes with, because we start with our little kids on T-balls, and you have a couple that can hit a pitch, and then they go to coach more of a coach pitch, a little easy toss. And then as the kids get older, they're hitting the ball harder, hitting the ball further. And like you said, some kids, I'm going to field it, throw it in first. Nobody's out, but they still want to go through that process of being a part of it. And like you said, the skills develop throughout the season, throughout the years, until they really are really into it. And that's where we noticed we needed that advanced player. So some of those kids are really good. But we noticed when they get to that 13, 14-year-old age group, there was separation between able-bodied kid and our unique needs kids, where they couldn't keep up on the field. So we started this advanced player academy where they were playing kids like themselves in games. But there's outs, there's winners, there's losers out there, and they'll tell you who they are because they're all about that competitive part of it. But they play on a regulation field, but they really kind of get into that part of it. So yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, is that development, not from just game to game, but from season to season as they get older.
Yeah, because as they got into high school, you've got kids that are just throwing it over the fence when they hit it. and that's the age that we had to be more careful with Emily, because if she were to get hit with that ball, it was more of a danger. And so Christopher's job was to screen her from any balls coming. When he remembered that was his job.
That's right. He's a teenager too, so that's exactly what they remembered.
And it was just his sister, but he actually took it very seriously. But he was also playing catch with her, and helping her have fun with the game too.
Right.
So yes, it was always fun there. So we talked about the buddy special trainings for the coaches. What type of training do they have?
For every season, we do our coaches meeting. We feed them, and then we take them through like an hour and a half of kind of what a season, what a game, what it's going to look like when they get out there, to try to ease them into it for our new coaches, and really kind of for our veteran coaches to be at, shared knowledge that they've worked out. And so usually our coaches meeting, it has a kind of group session where everybody's together, that we kind of give the semantics of, you need to do this, you need to call your players, you need to reach out every week, you got to do lineups. And then we break it out into different groups where we break down the gameplay. What does a pitching coach do? What does a hitting coach do? What does the dugout coach do? How does check-in happen? How do we dismiss the kids? What is the dugout coach in charge of? And really to kind of for safety's sakes, because we do have kids moving around. We have bats, we have balls flying around. We want to make sure everybody's aware of where they are and understands their responsibility of, hey, you're the batting coach, so that area is yours. You have to be the air traffic controller. Stop that kid, bring that kid, tell them to go. So, people aren't running each other. It's a busy area. There's balls flying around, and little kids are they're gonna chase the ball wherever it is, and if it's down there, that's where they're gonna chase it. So we want to make sure everybody knows and understands that. And then the other part of it is we want to give them that chance to know what they're in for when they show up for the first time, and that is just not a normal baseball game. There's lots going on. Hey, it's okay if a game of duck goose breaks out in the outfield sometimes,
right?
But at the same time, we want our coaches to challenge the players to make those steps, because a lot of times that hanging out in the outfield is just, hey, I'm bored,
Yeah.
One of the challenges I give to every coach is, hey, every inning, if you're in the field, you need to have an interaction with a player on your team, whether that's tossing, whether that's talking, whatever that is. Have that interaction, because it makes the inning go by faster. But also, you learn about that player. You learn what they like. Right. You learn what they can do and can't do. So as their buddies are out there, and if you notice a buddy struggling, you know what that player can do. So you go and show them, hey, this really works really well for them. They're in the wheelchair and they can't throw. Put the ball in the lap, and a lot of times they can brush it off their lap. Some kids can catch, some kids throw, just being whatever they can do, but trying to really encourage the interaction with the players, and as a coach to become familiar with them, because, those friendships, and I still get coached. I haven't coached a game since 2015, and I still get called coach all the time. So, that will always be with you, but you have to make the effort into being out there and to modeling the behavior that you want the buddies to do. And so we really encourage them to do that during that training process.
Yeah, I was thinking too that you have, it's important that they're doing that, because you have nonverbal kids who aren't going to be able to tell their buddy what they want to do or what they enjoy, but there's a way the buddy can communicate with them, and the coach can help facilitate that for them to get them started.
And I always say, you're going to have a moment that's that it moment out there, and it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. And you could have one, you could have 10, but unless you make the effort, you won't have those. It's whether it's you work with a kid for the 4 or the 5 first games of the season to kind of get him to play baseball with you or throw a ball with you. Instead of holding his doll, he has a Big Bird and Elmo in his hands, but kind of going out there and working with him to where you get to the point. And it's going to be a lot of failure. He's not going to throw the ball. He's not going to do it. But, by the 5th game, he's playing catch with you in the outfield, and then his buddy is his dad, and then he's playing catch with his dad for the first time ever. I mean, the kid is 15 years old, and those moments make all the other failures mute at that point, but they don't matter anymore, because that success is what it's all about. But again, we encourage our coaches to take those efforts to do that. And that's really what the training is about. It's not about, hey, you throw a 2-seam fastball this way. It's about, hey, go interact with your players, get to know them, get to learn about what they can and can't do. Learn what those abilities that those players have are. Don't just put them in that they don't have those abilities. Learn what those abilities are, and that's really important.
If a family wants to participate, how do they register?
So the best avenue for us to communicate is our website. mltriangle.com is the best way to be a player, to be a volunteer, or to be a donor. Is through that website. So if you want to register and kind of get on our mailing list, go to our website. All our registrations are a 2-step process, whether you're a player or a volunteer. So the first step is to kind of get in our system. As a player, to kind of get approved as a player, we'll call you and talk to you and kind of do a little interview to make sure this is what you need, and it takes about 2 seconds, and then we say, yeah, you're a new member, a new league. But the important part of that is you get on our mailing list, so when the season registration is going to happen, when the season dates are, all the goings on with the Miracle League, because you'll be communicated through that email. And for a volunteer, it's the same thing. Hey, I want to be a volunteer. Okay, so we make sure you are who you say you are, and then we do a volunteer. For a coach, we would do background checks every 3 years per what is required. So you'll have to go through that process if you're a coach. But once you're in our system, you'll get the notifications of when to sign up, when the leagues happen. And then as you want to buddy it, now that you're in our system, been approved, you can go and schedule yourself when you want to be a buddy. If you want to be a coach, you'll get a schedule that says you can be this is your game times, and we'll give you a schedule. But we really leave the availability up to what you want to do to be in that role. So that's really how a family wants to participate, whether they're a player, whether they're a volunteer. It's really just kind of go through our website and register. We usually run registrations for our players. Starts about 6 weeks before our season starts. So we'll run registration for about a month, about 4 weeks. That gives us time to get uniforms ordered, get all the hats ordered, and get all the teams made out. And then for coaches, it runs about the same time. And then for our season volunteers, as far as buddies and coaches, or buddies wise, it'll start closer to the season when you can sign up and to go from there.
Along with that, if a a local organization wants to come in and volunteer just for
Mm-hmm.
one shift, how do
Mm-hmm.
they do that?
So again, register and mark yourself as you want to bring a group, and at that point, you'll get contacted by our volunteer coordinator, our director of baseball operations. And so we do our group volunteer schedule first before we open up the individual buddies, because they fill such a big role. Typically, every shift has 2 buddy groups, anywhere from 10 to 15 players to kind of fill that. So we will go through and we will schedule out all the groups that we have that have interest for the first part of the season. Usually, we try to schedule out the first 4 weeks to kind of get it going. And then as the season goes on, you have different groups coming in to kind of be volunteers. And we ask for 3 dates. What are your 3 best dates that you want to go? And then we'll kind of schedule based off of that. So it's not you have to do it at this time unless we get towards the end of the season. We really want to give you some availability to work when you want to work, that you're going to have the best outcome. Because if you say you're going to volunteer and bring 15 and you bring 5, that didn't do us a lot of good. So we want to be able to make sure you get the maximum capacity out for your volunteer group.
So you're signing up and you're just saying how many people are in your group at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
So those are listening. I'd encourage you to try it out. It's I mean, at least one shift. Just see how it is, or go and watch a game first, and then jump in from there.
For a work group, hey, let's work. Let's go work. Go grab some dinner and then go volunteer on a Tuesday night at the Miracle League. We'll be done by 9:00. Yeah. You know, you go work, you go get some dinner, and you go hang out and play games with our adults, and it is a ton of fun. So I mean, there's always avenues to bring people out and to do it. It doesn't have to be a civic group or a team. It could just be a group from the office. I mean, just come out and to volunteer. I mean, there's lots of avenues for you to come out.
We have some parents that have never been involved before who are going to find this now. Mm-hmm. If they have concerns about their child, what is it that they need to understand of how their child's going to be taken care of? Who's going to care for them? What role does the parent have? Things like that.
We talk about a league being a league of exceptions. So a lot of our kids are one of in our world. So what you are bringing is not new to us. We're familiar with it. And the best part is we're not going to put them in danger in any way. It's just a baseball game. So whatever you're comfortable with, if you want a buddy, we encourage a lot of parents who are a little hesitant to be their buddy for the first few games, kind of get out there and see how it goes. So you understand what it's about. I remember when I started back in 2000, I'm like, there's no way this is going to be any fun. There's no way this is going to work. Yeah, look how well I did with that one.
Yeah.
But ask questions when you're talking to the director or player, whoever's called you to talk about your player being interviewed. If you have questions or concerns, speak them up. We'll gladly be able to answer them. Communication is the best thing that we can do, especially during COVID. We've had to be, there's been lots of communication back and forth of what we're doing for this and what's going to happen with this. And hey, we've had no outbreaks at the field in 2 years, knock on wood. I mean, it's been great to be able to be out there and do all the precautions that we're doing, but ask questions as you would with any organization of what the expectations are, what's going to happen out there. We'll have somebody with your player at all times. When they go to the bathroom, you're responsible for taking them to the bathroom. We ask a parent or a guardian to be at the field at all times in case something happens that is something that we don't know about or we couldn't control. We want you to be there to be able to provide that. We have players that have behavior issues. We want to make sure a parent's there to kind of help it. We have ways to de-escalate and to help with that, but a parent is always the number one resource that we're going to have in any situation of that regard. So again, ask questions, be upfront, be there, and we'll make sure that you have a good time. The best part is watch your kid coming around third base, the name's getting announced. The smile there it makes everything better.
All right, so we talked earlier about the national organization, mm-hmm. and I told everyone to contact there. But I know there's a national organization that's there, but are all the programs independent or are they connected with each other?
So we're all independent. There's over 320-ish that are across the United States and Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico. Wow. But everyone is kind of run how they want to be run. We're a rarity that we're our own organization. We're not affiliated with anybody else. So we run all of our operations. We have paid staff to do it. A lot of them are run through YMCA's, Parks and Recs, Kiwanis Lions clubs, Civitan clubs have run a lot, but everyone is different and kind of runs on their own. They're responsible for their own fundraising, their own kind of gameplay. The national office provides some kind of guidelines for usage of logos, and they provide the smaller Miracle Leagues with a lot more resources as far as helping to build a field if that's what you want to do. But they don't have to be played on a specialized field. A dirt field works as well. There's other ways that you can kind of do it when you're starting out to be it. We're probably one of the biggest miracle leagues there are with our player capacity, and we only want to get bigger. So we're a good resource for people reaching out and want to start a miracle league or want to help a miracle league as well, because we run one every day. But they have a national all-star game they started doing a couple of years ago, and it's a good chance to go and meet other miracle leagues. We run a Facebook group for miracle league directors and board members to kind of answer any questions, share ideas that are out there of things that are going on, especially as we're with pandemic, as what you're doing, what are you doing about this? It's a good chance to see who's doing what with uniforms. It's a good chance that, hey, we need a new scoreboard. What is everybody using? So we want to be a resource, just not only for our players and our parents, but also for other miracle leagues out there to kind of help them as well.
Is there anything that you can think of that I didn't cover that you feel like we should share?
For us, as every league grows, again, we always want to make sure the most important thing that we do is our players on the field. So we have our mission, which is to provide positive life experiences for our players and their families through baseball. That's our mission. We post that everywhere in our office, because every decision that we make as an organization, as a board, has to impact that in a positive way. So, the Miracle League of Triangle is very fortunate to have be in the area that they are. The growth that we've experienced from 100 players to over 500 players to the third field that's hopefully opening this year in Durham, which has been a whole another story all on its own. But to be able to have that in a downtown facility where everybody that drives through that area that goes to a Durham Bulls game will see that field and ask that question, hey, what's that about? That's important to us to have that awareness. That's our biggest challenge day in and day out, is what is the awareness in the community of your organization. And so, we appreciate coming on places, this podcast, to be able to share that and to get more people to know about us, not only our Miracle League, but Miracle Leagues across the country, because it's important that players and kids have the opportunity to play a sport, to be a teammate, to be part of something that they wouldn't normally be able to do in normal situations. Those lessons that we all learned as able-bodied people playing those sports, these kids get to learn now. One of the things I always say to a lot of people is, you see the stories of the kids who have birthday parties and nobody shows up. As a Miracle League player, that doesn't happen because you have teammates.
Yeah.
And that's important, not only on the field, but that's important off the field, which is much more important in the grand scheme of things than anything that we do. And that's why we love what we do.
Well, this part of our interview is our speed round. And everyone has to go through this. I don't know if I told you much about it, but if we have listeners that have not heard of it, I'm going to go through it anyway. So the speed round is a list of 10 questions that have nothing to do with the interview whatsoever. It's more about you. And they're just questions of things that you like, that you don't like, things like that. And it's called a speed round, but there's no timer or anything. We did away with the timer after the first interview. So, because we weren't able to finish before the timer ran out. So. You have the option. The first 3 questions are open-ended. Just answer whatever you want to. The rest of them are either-or questions, so you're going to choose one or the other. If you can't choose one, you can say both, or you can say pass on it. Okay. There's not a right or wrong on this. The only rule is that you have to have fun.
I'm scared now, but I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So the first question, what's your favorite color?
I'm wearing a red shirt, and I went to NC State, which is red, but it's not my favorite color. Green is my favorite color. Green.
And that may be our first green so far. What's the last book that you read?
I read a lot of spy, mystery, thriller movie or books. I probably read one a month, if not 2 a month. So I read a lot. I can't think of the last one, but I'm in the middle of another one right now. That's kind of by the same author. He did some work with Tom Clancy, so it's that type of genre of books.
Yeah, excellent. And what's your favorite holiday?
See, I'm a big candy guy, so any holiday that has candy, I'm good with. But Christmas is always the best holiday, just because I have kids and to see their expression. And every kid that's out there, it's always Christmas. I do a lot of lights in my house, so
fun.
That's part of me in that regard.
All right, so the rest of these are either or questions. So cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Batman or Superman?
Ooh, Superman.
Ocean or mountains?
Yes.
Okay. Winter or summer?
Summer.
Watch a movie or read a book?
Probably read a book.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, you may be the first one with that one. Twitter or Instagram?
Twitter.
How can our listeners contact you if they have any questions?
You can reach me at my email address is bcaps@mltriangle.com. Our website is mltriangle.com. You can find us on social media under those titles as well. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram. It's good avenues that we use, especially a lot of Facebook for communication. But if you want to kind of see what a gameplay is about, go to all of them. You see what it's about. You see all of our news and events that we have going on. We have YouTube channel as well with Miracle League of the Triangle. You can see every video that we've done. You can see us when we were fortunate to be featured on the national news back in 2018. Lester Holt did a great story on us. So we're on the web and on social media. So but the best way is to find out about the Miracle League of the Triangle is directly through our website. And you click on my name on there and communicate with me that way, or you can kind of send me an email and reach out.
Thank you for taking the time to go through all these questions with us today. I'm hoping that our listeners that are in the area especially will contact you and come and check it out, whether they're watching, want to come and volunteer, or if they have a child who they want to sign up as part of a team.
Well, thank you for having me again. Our biggest challenge is the awareness part, and this is just another tool in that. We really appreciate being able to talk to you today about it.
Great. Thank you. You've been listening to the Water Prairie Chronicles. Any resources mentioned during this episode will be posted in the description. If you're interested in joining us as a guest, contact us through the links in the description below. Be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. We appreciate your support as we build this resource. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for a new episode.